to the Read 'em and Weep Book Club. Today we are talking about The Rachel Incident by Caroline O'Donoghue. Now, when I picked this book, the fourth word was Christmas. And that's all I read, and I was like, oh, Christmas novel! And it's not really.
No.
But I loved it still. It's very much rom-com and just all the good things. And I forgot to introduce my guest.
Oh, Annie again.
She's back.
I'm back.
She read this book in 2 hours.
Whatever. What can
Mine
I say?
took 8, but it's okay. And so for our readers who haven't read the book yet, it follows a girl named Rachel. And Rachel is working at a bookstore, and she meets this guy named James. And James is very, outwardly gay, but he says he's not. So we're like, oh, okay, all right. And so they immediately move in together. They're in Cork, Ireland, and they're just the best of friends. And it just follows, their friendship. And she is in love with her professor. And so they create this whole little scheme to kind of seduce her professor. And he writes a book. So they're like, oh my God, we have this event for you. We're super excited for your book. Come do a book signing. And so he's like, okay. And then their whole ploy after the book signing is that she's pretty much going to seduce him after to get him to sign some copies. And so she cleans up and they close. She goes over to do plan A and finds her bestie James making out with the professor. And we're like, oh my God. So that's where we're going to leave you and read it. Yeah. Come back. It's going to take you 2 hours if you're like Annie. So come back after and we're going to talk about it. And I have so much to say as always. Okay. Bye. All right.
Hello. Oh my God.
Tell me thoughts.
I loved this book.
Oh, good.
I
Yay.
love this book. It's not a 10 out of 10, but it is really good.
It was good.
And the whole time, I kept trying to read it in my brain with an Irish accent.
I did the same thing. It took me twice as long, but it was so much fun. And I felt like I could do an Irish accent after reading it in my head. But then I tried to say it out loud. I was like, no, I can't. No, I can't.
Nope. It makes me think of the show, was it Dairy Girls? Have you seen that on Netflix?
I haven't, no. But I was
really
just picturing
funny.
Paul Mescal. Normal people. I was
yeah.
like, yeah, I got this.
Well, I thought it was really good. And it was so funny. The most random things would happen. I'd be like, oh,
I know. It was good. It was really good.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm glad you liked it just as much as I did because, of course, I'm going to give my rating now because I don't think it's going to change by the end. I gave it just a solid 5 out of 10.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was perfectly average.
I feel like that's low. I would give it a 7.5.
Okay.
I really liked it. I never got bored.
Good. I did.
When did you get bored?
Every major plot point, I was entertained, but the in-between moments, I got bored.
So, the building, you were bored.
The building, I was bored, yeah. But, hey, we're going to talk about it, and, maybe by the end of it, it'll change my mind.
I hope so.
Yeah, because I was trying to speed read. I was trying to match your pace, but I obviously did not.
No.
I think I started I was on page 40 around 10 a.m. and then I finished it around 2. So maybe it took me double. Okay. That's not bad for me. Pat on my back.
No, that's not terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to go through my tabs and, just talk about everything. Ready?
Yes.
Okay. So we start with her talking about James and what were you what did you think of James when we first met him?
I was very excited and very hopeful, for him being constant throughout the book. Because he sounded like somebody I would love to be friends with.
I know.
Especially, when she starts talking about their first fight.
Yeah, and he's like, oh, yeah, that was like Sabrina or someone like that.
Yeah, no, and like she pushed him really hard, and then he was like, there it is. I was like, yeah, that's a friend of mine right there.
I know it. But then whenever he's like, oh, that wasn't our first fight. That was Sabrina. Like, I didn't know who your name was.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we start with her being pregnant in Christmas time. And I was like, okay, yeah, Christmas novel, love it. And then we went back in time and that's pretty much where we stayed.
Yeah, no, I do have to say that confused me a lot. The time jumps in this book, because it didn't really like, I don't think it was very good about saying when that was happening.
Right.
So it would just switch really quickly to like present
she
time,
would go
I guess.
like at that time, like I didn't really think this was happening, but that was before. And I was like, wait, whoa. I thought we were in the story. Now we're back to your point of view. Like,
yeah,
what?
no, that was very confusing. Like, Caroline, you could have done better on that aspect.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like leaving or... Yeah, it wasn't like leaving where the book followed thoughts to where it was like, you know, your thoughts bring you to a memory and then it's a flashback.
Yeah.
It was more just like you're living in this time. Oh, now you're living this one. Now you're back in this one.
Yeah, it's
now
like,
you're here.
it's like back to her just like telling the story.
Yeah,
Like
it was very like present time and then talking
to us
in the past tense and then into a different present time. That was very confusing.
Yeah, definitely had to reread a few things.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I was like, who is this person? Why is she pregnant again?
Funny.
No, I was very confused about that too. I was like, when is she actually pregnant? How many times has she been pregnant? Yeah, that was confusing for sure.
That's funny. I just thought, like, as we're all readers, I thought we could judge Rachel's reading palette, because she talks about it and I think it'd be fun to talk about. Okay, ready?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. I was usually reading, novels, mainly older ones, books that were rancidly popular in the mid-20th century and therefore approved by the cultural establishment, but were forgotten enough by my contemporaries to make me feel special. I liked dead women talking glibly about society. I liked long paragraphs about rationing and sexual awakenings in France, and still I started working at the bookshop. I consider myself quite well read. What do you think about her reading palette?
I don't think it matches the personality I read throughout the book.
Yeah. You want to know who I pictured her as?
Who?
Did you watch Amy Winehouse's movie?
I didn't watch the movie, no.
Well, you know the person.
Well, of course I know Amy Winehouse.
I pictured her because
Really? I mean, okay, I kind of get that.
I can see Amy a lot, especially like how she talked a lot about like her clothes and how attached she was to Carrie, James Carey, yeah. I just it matched for me, and so I was like, okay, like we're reading this, all right. But it felt like she was very English major, so she had to read a lot of those. I don't know. There were definitely two personalities.
She was definitely a lot more, I think, articulate than Amy Winehouse was. Like,
yeah. Instead of music, she had words. Or that means the same, but...
Yeah. I mean, like, Amy Winehouse, like, song lyrics.
Those
match Rachel. Yes. I think very well. But, like, it just, like, clips of, like, Amy in interviews and stuff like that. She's just, like... That's not Rachel to me.
I mean, when she was drunk...
Well, when we're all drunk.
Amy Winehouse was always drunk.
That's a fair point.
Hey, watch the movie and then come back to me and you'll agree.
Okay.
But yeah, no, that does make sense to me. I don't know. I liked that she liked dead women talking.
Yeah, no, I thought that was funny.
But I can see her liking a book like this. You know, just like a funny, like a book.
Yeah. I like books when they're very... Like, I like books when they're unrealistic, like, you know, fantasy and stuff like that. But I also love when books are really realistic like this. Like, just a normal girl living her life.
Yeah.
Living her dramas.
I love it.
I love that stuff. Like, that's why I watch vlogs.
That's so funny. I loved when her and James, like, I felt like I was in the room with them when they would just, like, gossip and, like, be in the bed, like, oh my God, what happened? I'd be like, oh my God, what?
I love their friendship. And, like,
so
even,
good.
so, like, towards the end of the book, she talks about how, like, she had mentioned that they only had one fight, but in reality, they really had 3.
Yeah.
And I was like, I loved how during those 3 fights, they recovered so well.
They were.
Like,
they were.
in the moment, really, for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, the first one when he thought she was Sabrina, that, like, barely was a fight, really.
It really was, yeah.
Recovered within the second, basically. Like, she pushed him, and it was immediate. It was like, let me
like
buy you a drink. Like,
yeah.
And then the second fight about the professor or whatever like that, I mean, that one, he came back the next day, and then they recovered.
Yeah.
But then the third fight, what was the third fight?
New York.
Oh, him moving to New York, literally in the moment, recovered.
Yeah.
Like, they went from, she was like, I'm so mad at you for, like, planning all this and doing this without me. I'm gonna miss you. Like,
I know.
I just love that feeling when you're so close with somebody that you can't even be so angry enough to fight with them.
It's like, I'm so proud of you for getting the job, but, like, why the fuck did you not tell me?
No, that's actually how I would feel. Like,
Yeah.
I understand both of their sides. Like, I don't really
Yeah.
understand why he didn't tell her or, like, ask her to, like, move with him and just ask Sabrina. Like, I don't understand that part. But I also understand, like, him applying and just, like, doing
It's
it,
like,
not really thinking much would come out of it,
I
not
apply to
feeling the
things
need
in
to
Paris
tell her.
all the time. Like, we don't know what will come out of it. But I feel like once you get in that interview process, I feel like
Then there's
you have a
something to
right to
tell.
tell someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, like, by hiding it, he felt like it wasn't real. And, like, once he told her it was real.
Maybe.
And maybe he just wanted to be in that.
Yeah. Or it was, like,
Yeah.
jinxing it, or
Yeah.
he felt like he liked keeping something private into himself for once.
Yeah, but, I mean, he should have told her. But
Yeah. No, I am with Rachel. He should have told her, for sure. Yes.
oh yeah, this is him saying at the part when he thought her name was Sabrina. She goes, "It's not so bad," I say, wary of attracting pity. "I've paid my fees for this year, and I'm not doing a master's, so now I'm just flush." I gestured at the table. "We should order some actual food," I said. "We should live together," he said. "What?" I choked on my wine. "You don't even know me." "I know that your name is Rachel," he said. And at the time, it felt like a joke because I did not know about the Sabrina thing yet. And that I like you. Anyway, I don't love my gaff as it is. He examined a cashew. And I think we'd have a laugh, don't you? I thought that was really funny. And I think, like, realistically, that's insane. But since, like, we know the friendship already, it was cute.
Yeah. No, I read that and I was like, she would never, whatever. And then she goes home that night and goes, "Mom, Dad, I'm moving out." And then they're
Yeah.
living together.
I
was like,
know.
That's very
maybe
ballsy.
It's like that something, like, sometimes you just know and you just felt that feeling. I've never felt that feeling.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't know, but maybe she just did. And, like, obviously it worked out, so I love it for them. But
Yeah.
I just thought it was so funny.
Love
But
it.
also, I am not familiar with, like, Ireland history. And so the book followed a lot about this, like, recession that was happening. And, like, I bet it must be crazy because her dad is a dentist. Like, if you want to be financially stable, you go into dentistry. So if her dad is, like, suffering financially, that puts her in this whole situation, like, did that ever, like, come up to you as you were reading?
Okay. I have 2 thoughts on that.
Okay.
First of all, is that I think this recession was around the same time, like the 2008 recession.
Okay.
Like-
yeah, that was around the same time
Yeah.
period.
So I'm assuming it's just one and the same. And then second of all, it mentions at some point in the book about her parents having a lot of investments, and those went to shit.
Oh.
That's why her mom was all like, I really want you to, like, go to your graduation. Let's do your graduation and stuff.
I remember that, yeah.
And then, as she mentioned, she's like, at the time I didn't know, but all my parents, like, investments had
and all
gone
their
downhill,
money was up there. But, like,
and they
that's
didn't have anything to
crazy.
retire on. Which is so terrible.
You like that
everybody
is hard.
needs their teeth cleaned, but like I'm not gonna lie, that is not gonna be my number one priority if I lose all my money is getting my teeth cleaned. I'll
That's
just
true.
brush my teeth and hope for the best. Like, damn.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe like dentistry is like just an expensive practice, and that's why people who go into that are so financially just wonderful. Because I don't know. I'm just assuming.
I'm not a dentist.
I don't really know.
I don't personally know any dentists.
I know my friend whose dad is a dentist, and she's doing wonderful. So
good for
I was
her.
just thinking, like, damn, like,
Yeah.
fuck. Like, do they not have a financial advisor? Anyway, let me see.
At the beginning, she didn't tell us who her husband was.
I thought she did. Let me see. I thought she did. Let me look.
Like she always just was like my husband or my husband this, my husband that.
Oh, maybe she said it in the middle of the book then. Because I knew that she'd end up with him.
I did not. I assumed it was him when after she had the miscarriage and then she got back with him like later. I was like, yeah, that's definitely the husband. Oh. But that was much later in the book.
Maybe I just assumed and it was stupid.
I guess. But it also was a
Anyway.
little confusing because they both were named James. So like
True. Maybe when I find it, when we get through it, it'll...
the fact that she didn't name her kid James is kind of criminal.
Yes.
I'm not gonna lie.
That was so perfect.
Like her best friend James, he had a point.
He did.
She should have named him
Jameses.
James. That would have been so perfect. Like even if like, you know, maybe they had to use a nickname or something to keep it.
Yeah, but it should have been James. It really should have.
Like maybe his first name was James and his middle name was Seamus and then he went by his middle name.
that
Like
would-
he should have been James.
I
That was
know.
too perfect.
It was too perfect. Okay, so on a darker note, even though this is right before chapter 3, but I was like, oh my god, that's so sad. So she says this, my mother was glaring at me, hating me for collaborating in the downsizing scheme, but it was too late. I had made up my mind. I came home with laundry for Christmas. I remember thinking that they looked older, but no one could have aged that much in 10 days. The truth was that I had been extremely sheltered. I thought of my parents as heads on Easter Island, and it took moving 2 miles away to realize that they had been people all along.
No, that made me so sad too. Because
so sad.
I hate to admit this too, but same.
Yeah.
Like when I went off to college, like coming back home and visiting my mom or like calling her and like hearing how much she missed me and she was kind of sad and I think she was a little lonely, like it broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because growing up, your whole world really revolves around you. And you think your parents' world revolves around you, which like in a sense it kind of does when you're growing up because you need that.
Yeah,
But
you're a dependent.
ah,
It was so sad because then you come home and like they do look older. And like not like a crazy like, oh my god, 80-year-old grandma, but like you can see little lines and you're like, oh my god. Like,
Yeah.
No,
no, literally. Oh,
You're
it's
supposed
so
to do this.
bad.
I know.
Me and my sister, we said this a couple weeks ago, but we were talking and we both agreed about how we have never in our entire lives loved our mom as much as we have now.
Yeah.
Like just the appreciation and the love and the gratitude that we have towards her right now is just exponential compared to any other moment in our lives.
I completely agree. And like, I don't know, maybe I think it's both planets almost coming together in unison because like there's a different dynamic when you're a child and they're your mom. But like once you're like an adult, you kind of, they let go a little bit so you can see them for like really who they are instead of just a parent.
Yeah.
And it's just so sweet. And like, I feel the exact same way. I know. So sorry. But now chapter 3. This part was so funny to me. Okay, so she is with her, was it high school boyfriend, college boyfriend, Jonathan?
Oh, yeah. Beginning of college boyfriend.
This part made me laugh out loud. It's just a little paragraph. She goes, We were so busy falling in love that I had forgotten completely about Jonathan, who I had asked to call over around 5. One of my main motives for moving out was sex. We had both lived at home for most of college and were still relying on house parties, parked cars, and our parents' schedules to have it. It was also getting exhausting having sex at college. Doing it in a campus bathroom is exciting the first time, but there's something depressing about asking your boyfriend to meet you at our bathroom.
No, that is such a mood.
That's so gross.
Like, the first, like, multiple times I had sex, it was in the backseat of my car. Like, that's so...
Oh my god, yeah!
that's so sad. Like, the fact that you have to plan it out and, like...
That just kills the
No,
romance.
it does.
It's like, okay, 4 p.m.
I know, literally. Like, okay, so I'll pick you up, and then we'll drop off your friend at the mall, and then we'll go park in the parking lot and fuck
And
in
we'll
the
just have,
backseat.
like, random small talk.
No, literally. Like, knowing you're gonna have to do it because you don't have any other chance.
That's true love right there. If you could get through that, you can get through anything.
We did it.
Oh my god. That's horrible. Oh no.
Anyways.
This part was interesting to me. That was the only part of chapter 3 I really highlighted, so can't tell you what happened. Okay, so I think... Ooh, okay. So chapter 3 ends with her saying, but I'm getting ahead of myself because before any of that happened, Dr. Brian happened first. And I was like, ooh, that's so exciting. Because, okay. I read the back of the book, obviously, before I picked up it.
Yeah.
But still, I was shocked at the finale of the book signing, the book event.
No, I was too. I don't think I really, like, comprehended when I read the back of the book.
Me too.
Because I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, her walking in, and she had said, what was the quote? It was like, he was, like, so small, like, James was so small in his arms that I didn't even notice that he was there, like, at first.
Yeah.
And I was like,
oh my god! I was
what
like,
do you
James?
mean? No, literally, because...
That's supposed to be you!
No, because I also love James so much, and that's such, like, a backstabbing move.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, James is a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if James was, like, a girl...
Which she talked about.
then it would have been way different.
Mm-hmm.
But clearly, Dr. Byrne was, like, pretty gay. So,
Yeah. Well, he was bi, which is confusing to me.
being bi or, like,
Well,
him
no,
being
not
bi?
being bi, but, like, I guess he would be attracted to
Yeah.
Rachel, but it wasn't in that he already had a woman.
So he wanted a man's attention,
He
too.
really hadn't, like, explored that side of him, I suppose.
I guess
Because he
so.
talked about, he was like, yeah, like, I don't see men as, like, relationship types. And he's like, that just because I'm, like, in my 40s. Like,
No, I
Yeah.
saw that and I was like, ew.
yeah, like, the fuck?
No, James, run.
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 Okay, this part was so funny. All right, so she's in his class before the book signing.
Okay.
And this is on chapter 4, page 31. And she's like, very much crushing on him right now. And he goes, who knows Sherlock Holmes? And everyone's like, no, I don't really. And it was so funny. She says, he repeated his question after it was met with silence. This was pre-Benedict Cumberbatch reign over the BBC. So it was a dry time culturally about Mr. Holmes, and we didn't know a lot. I was like, I love Sherlock.
No, I loved how she did that multiple times throughout the book.
Yes.
Like, there was this... I don't think I marked it. Oh, wait. I found it right here. Excuse my language, everyone.
Oh, God.
But it's it's Rachel talking to Jonathan about James. And he goes, James, great. And then carefully, I think we're going to be friends, you know. And then Jonathan goes, are you going to become one of those fag hags? He said, like Will and Grace. And then in, like, parentheses, she put, have patience. This was considered to be an extremely witty thing to say in 2009.
I remember that.
I thought that was so funny. I was dying. Because when I first read that, I was like, oh, she bold.
Yeah.
She bold.
I know this was published in May.
Yeah. Like, it's, you know, like in, like how they want to ban, like, To Kill a Mockingbird because it has the N-word in it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, that's what, like, this book is going to be in, like, 10 years.
Yeah. No, that was so funny. She put in parentheses.
I know. I thought it was so
See
funny.
you. Oh, my God. Okay, so page 37. We're in chapter 5. How did chapter 4 end? Oh, she pretty much is going through to get into his like seminar class, and it leaves off chapter 4 with her getting in, and like she printed off the email saying like she got it. She was very excited. So in chapter 5, she's pretty much talking about her and Jonathan just like aren't it for each other. Mm-hmm.
I did not like Jonathan.
He was so boring.
No, he was very vanilla. It was so gross.
It was so gross because she goes on talking about like, oh my God, I feel like we're in like a French movie and blah, 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 blah. And he's like, okay, so I'm going to go.
Yeah, that's like just not getting each other at all.
No. And like, it's okay. Like maybe at one point they did.
Yeah,
but like people
grew
drifted
out of each other.
apart.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so then she goes and talks about the book signing. Oh, what?
I took a quote from page 38 when Dr. Byrne goes into the bookstore.
Yeah.
And they talk and they have their first like witty exchange. She says, like Dorothy Parker, I said, is Wonder Woman for depressed girls. I couldn't believe I had come up with a line like this so quickly. He laughed instantly, caught my eye, and I thought, fuck me, and I'll say more things.
No, that reminds me of whenever she's alone in a room with me. It's like, well, we have sex.
Yeah.
She's like in the elevator with some old man or like in the interview for him. She's like,
no, this girl is horny.
she's so horny.
She needs to get it. Jonathan.
Yeah, get away.
Step up.
I mean, poor thing's just in their bathroom. Oh my gosh. Okay, so they pretty much are going through the whole thing. What did you think about their plan of, you know, having Dr. Brian?
I think it's Byrne because it's
Dr. Byrne.
Y-R.
Okay, Dr. Byrne to come in to the book signing because it's pretty much where we're at right now.
I think they did a very good job at, you know, planning it and perfecting it and putting it in action and everything. And then she stalled, I think, getting into the stock room.
She did
And
because she was just cleaning up.
Yeah, but like she didn't really have to be cleaning up at that moment if she really didn't want to.
I know, but
Still, James.
knowing who he is, she may have like saved herself from huge embarrassment. But obviously, she wouldn't act on something if there wasn't a vibe.
Yeah, well, yeah. But also, like, it was kind of nice how at the end of the book, when his wife called her out and was like, you've been sleeping with my husband, blah, 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 blah. It was nice for her not to be lying when she said, no, I haven't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really liked that. I was like,
that was
yeah,
good.
you
and
tell
she's
her.
like, if for some reason, yeah, I wasn't lying the whole time. I found myself not lying.
No, she didn't lie at all, and she still managed to finesse $2,000. Like,
Yeah. Hey.
shit.
Girl.
Can we be friends?
But like, ugh, what a coward. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, here's the part when you were talking about when she finds them. It goes, there was half a box of the Kensington diet that would not fit on the shelves, so I gathered them into my arms and nudged my way into the stock room, where Dr. Brine was, and where James looked so small in his arms that it took me a second to realize that he was not alone. I was like, ah!
No, I reread that like 3 or 4 times. I was so freaked out. Even though it basically tells us that, you know.
In the blurb and everything, like, you knew it was happening.
Yeah.
And if I was her, like, I would be pissed.
Mm-hmm.
And she said that too. Like, even if you picture her, I mean, him as a girl, like, oh my God, I would be so mad.
Yeah, that's betrayal. Really.
But also, like, you can't. Okay, I love, like, I'm so wishy-washy with everything. But I feel like you can't play devil, like, you can't put dibs on a person for, like, choosing someone else. You know what I mean?
You can still feel that way, though.
Yeah.
Like, you can't actually, because you can't force them, but
Yeah.
it's still very emotional, I'd say.
Yeah. But I think it really must have meant something because James, you know, like, spent the whole rest of the book, like, really in love with this man.
Oh, yeah. Like, hindsight, of course, you know, I think it panned out the way it should have.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I was like, James!
James! Yeah.
What are you doing?
I know.
Oh, yeah.
I know. So how did they end up? Because I don't think I marked it. Oh, I think I found it. Okay, you want me to read their little fight after this?
Yes.
Okay. It's on page 60. He goes, Rach, he called. He repeated it, calling up the stairs. Rach. There was no door from the kitchen to the living room. The kitchen was more of an alleyway that led to the bathroom than a real room. He stopped when he saw me. All right, he said. Is this it then? I replied, not meeting his eye. Are you out now? What do you mean? I mean, I don't see the point of you being in the closet, I snapped, and me telling people that you're straight if you're going to fuck my professor. What does you telling people I'm straight have to do with anything? I found a vein of anger, something other than my own shame at losing Dr. Byron. I fucking don't know. To tap into. I vouched for you, I said. People asked me if you were gay, and I said no. Did you believe it? He said calmly. No, I exploded, but you were my friend. I was being a good friend. He looked down at my sodden socks. You're freezing, he said. Come on, let's go upstairs. And blah, 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 blah. And then he goes, are you coming in? He called. And I padded into my warm, clean room and got into bed with him. I'm sorry, I said once the light was out. No, I'm sorry, he said. I could feel his breath on my face. He was yours. No, I replied. He was never mine. In the years since, I've heard about the night James was first kissed by Fred Bryan so many times that I feel like I was there, experienced every beat of it. I feel this way about a lot of James's life. I passed certain stages, blah, 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 blah. Okay, what do we think?
I think that they both handled it very well. Like, they both apologized, you know? And, like, she was conscious enough to realize, like, even though she did want him, he was not hers. Mm-hmm. Like, it was not like they were together and they were dating and James stole him away or anything like that. Like, it was very just wanting. She wanted him.
Yeah.
And
she was never going to have him want her back.
Yeah. Like, he wanted James, and so that's what happened. Like, she didn't even make moves, really. So.
Yeah. Okay, all right, here's a good part. She goes, I was amazed by this. I, Rachel Murray, had spent my short adult life disappointed that random men didn't want to have sex with me in random places. Meanwhile, James was getting it constantly. Not constantly, he corrected, not even frequently. At 22, he had fewer than 10 of these experiences to his name, but they were sexy and sustaining, and you could never quite tell when the next one was going to occur. Only one thing was certain. When they did happen, you didn't say no. You can always say no, I said, thinking this was a consent thing. No, he shook his head. You're not understanding me. I mean, me personally, James Devlin, I cannot say no. He looked genuinely sorry. I know he was yours, Rachel, but let's be honest, you were never going to actually go there, and we both knew it. Yeah, I sighed. I wasn't.
That's so sad.
I mean, like, we want her to go for it. And I think that was very bold of him to say that she wasn't.
It's so sad to me because they're very similar people, I'd say. Like, they are extremely similar, but when it comes to, like, their sex lives, complete opposites.
Yeah.
Like, he has his need for just, like, passion and want and just
lust.
and
Yeah.
she has it for love.
She does.
Like, she said it at some point throughout the book where she wanted the relationship type of love, the relationship type of sex, where it's
that longing.
yeah. And he's like, he said, you know, James Devlin, I cannot say no.
Yeah.
Where he just feels so just like does need to allow himself to be used in some way. And I'm sure, like, it mentions towards the end of the book how, like, he was abused.
Yeah, that
I'm
could
wondering
have
if that
some.
stems from it.
Yeah. I mean, like, this is me just throwing, like, a bunch of ideas out in the air. Like, I know, like, men and women are very different, and women are very, like, emotional, like, heart-oriented, and men are very, you know, like, led by a different...
A different head.
And so, like, maybe it has something to do with that. Maybe, like, he's a lot like Samantha from, like, Sex and the City. Like, she's just very much, you know, like, sex-oriented, like, love herself. Like, she just wants to feel good. And, but, okay, this is me just thinking out loud, but he loved the professor. So this is just very interesting for me.
And he got his heart broken.
He did multiple times. Well, what did you think about... Because right before this, the wife came and, you know, made herself known. Because later in the book, she's like, I wanted to see who was doing all this at the bookstore. But she was just chubby. That's what she said. I'll find it. Oh, here we go. This is what she said later on, because obviously she goes to the bookstore and wants to see who she is. Mm-hmm. She says this on page 205. The lady-in-waiting analogy was oddly fitting because Deanie did seem like a queen in those moments, sitting cross-legged on her bed, offering pronouncements to the room. When I first met you, she said, with that stupid carry-on about how the shop wanted to put on the launch for his awful book, I knew something was off. It didn't make any sense. And then when I actually saw you, she allowed herself a dry cackle. I thought, oh God, how silly. She's just a chubby student with a crush. I was like, oh my God.
That's so mean.
Because she, like, Rachel saw her too, and she wasn't the best looking. She compared her to an inbred Renaissance woman.
No, they were both just very, like, jealous of the other.
Yeah.
Even though
the
they
man is
neither of them had any reason to be.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, Rachel did a little bit at first because she still thought she had a shot. But the second that he slept with James, she knew had no shot.
Yeah.
So she was just comparing, like, in a way of, like, feeling bad for her, honestly.
Yeah.
But then, what is her name?
Deanie?
Deanie was comparing because she thought that her husband was sleeping with her.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, I have nothing to be worried about, you know, because she's just this chubby college student with a crush. And then at the end when she was like, oh, you were sleeping with my husband, it was more insulting.
Yeah.
She was like, I was like, why would he be interested in someone like her? But apparently he was. He wasn't. It was James.
God. Ugh. Anyway, so... Okay, here's her talking about it. Because she speaks with Deanie. I forget what was happening. We're on page like 71 if you want to look.
Are they talking about her dad?
I don't know. But at the very end, particularly so quickly after meeting someone, Deanie's admission, which I saw as being polite chatter then, would have endeared her instantly to me now. I don't think so. I give a terrible first impression. I thought about her at the bookshop 2 hours before her husband's book launch, how suspicious she had been of me. Maybe she felt bad about it. More than that, maybe she was sorry. She had observed me that evening in all the goofy the largeness and thought.
Largeness?
My goofy largeness and thought, my God, why was I so frightened of that poor stupid girl? She was so bewildered by how unthreatening I was that she missed James operating right under her nose.
That's so sad.
Which is so true.
It is true. Because honestly, like, if I'm married to somebody, my first thought is not that they're gay.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I don't blame her for being so ignorant.
Yeah, but, like, from, like, how, like, the author described him, he didn't feel that way. He didn't give off... She didn't write him to give off that vibe.
Of being gay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was just as surprised.
Me too.
But then when you look back, maybe I can see it, but still, like, you felt...
I can only see it when he's actually with James.
Yeah.
And of
when
course,
she finally let him... That part of himself...
I know. That's
free.
so sad.
Yeah, like
just let it shine.
Free. Be free.
You can have both of those aspects of you alive at the same time. You just have to be, like, honest to your wife.
Yes.
Jesus.
If you're gonna, like, say vows to someone...
No, cheating is never okay, guys.
No.
Nope.
Ugh. Okay. So this sticky note, I say, is he being a good friend? And I'm going to read the little quote. It's on page 72.
Okay.
So it's at the beginning of chapter 10. All right, so we didn't spend any more time with the Harrington... Oh, my God, how do you say his name?
Burns.
Okay. We didn't spend any more time with the Harrington Burns that night. We drifted away, talked to our own people, did our own thing. But James' heart wasn't in the night anymore. And because he couldn't get into it, I couldn't either. I might go, I said at around 11. I have a class in the morning. Same, he said. But we headed... Oh, my God. And we headed for the door. As soon as we were clear of the venue, James blurted it all out. I gave him our address, he said. Our what? Why? Rachel, this is awkward to talk about, but the man was the best ride of my life. Stop, I said. No, he wasn't. I suddenly felt like he was talking about my dad. He was. I feel like, I don't know. He spat on the ground. I was so shocked that I watched the spit travel. It was such an odd thing for him to do. Like, I'm just snacking all these empty calories, but it all tastes like nothing because it's not what I want, what I need. The guitarist from last week, he was empty calories. His face was twisted. His hands were in his hair. You saw the kiss, Rachel, you know. I did. I knew. It was kind of making me crazy, too. I'd never been kissed the way James had been kissed in the stockroom. And now that I see James kissing several people, I knew he hadn't either. So is he going to what? Come to our house? Abandon his sick wife?
Oh, my God.
What do you think? Do you think he's being a good friend by giving them her professor's address of their home?
I think he should have talked about it to her first.
I agree.
But also, I don't know if I would have.
Yeah. Let's just, like, picture, like, the best kiss of your fucking life.
Yeah, I honestly, if I was James, I probably wouldn't have told Rachel at all and just snuck him into the house.
Oh my god.
And let Rachel just not know that it's him.
So you would hide it.
I would have hidden it.
You know you couldn't have hidden it for long.
I know, but I probably would have hidden it like 2 or 3 times and then spilled my guts. Because I feel like that's my pattern, though.
That's true, yeah.
Like, I hide all these, like, super big things, and then I tell
it's
you
like,
about
okay, I'm going to do this more. I'm just going to...
Yeah, no. That's literally what happened with my ex.
Yes, that's so true. It's like, okay, fine.
So, like, I get it, but also, come on.
Yeah. And so then he immediately goes to the room. But, like, I would... Yeah, because, like, he sent her, like, to her room, because I guess they, like, sleep together in the same room sometimes. Mm-hmm. He's like, get out, go. She's like, what? To my room? He's like, yeah, go.
Yeah. And then she was like, comes. I figured out who was at the door then. Yep.
They're like, oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I wouldn't know how to feel, because I'd feel so uncomfortable. But also, like, it's, like, my best friend. Like, how can I not let them do that?
I know.
It'd be very hard to meander, but they did it perfectly.
Yeah. There's this quote on page 75 that I very much resonated with.
Oh, okay.
And I think a lot of people will. So, it's when she's talking about how she's like, she goes out with James and like flirts with all these guys, you know, since she's been broken up with Jonathan. And it says, you know, you think I'm that easy, huh? I said to them, feigning shock that a 21-year-old boy standing without a jacket in February at 2 a.m. might have an ulterior motive. I would send them packing, triumphant. Then I would go inside and feel depressed, stupid, and horny. I don't know who I was trying to impress. I did not want a boyfriend. I did want romance. I wanted passion. I did not want to be someone who was known as easy. I was desperate to be touched. I was terrified of being ruined.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
That's so
Me
good.
too. Like, just, I was desperate to be touched. I was terrified of being ruined. That's so just sad and
Honest.
true, because men are scary.
They are scary.
They're
and
so scary.
They can break your heart, and that thing is very fragile.
No, it is. Like,
And it's hard to, like, I love all the people that can, you know, do things without any emotions. But it's very hard to keep separate.
yeah. And it's so much easier to fall into love than out of love.
Yes.
That's why, like getting your heart broken is so much more painful.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I know it.
that's so sad.
This part was really funny to me. When she meets James, Carrie.
Carrie.
Yes, Carrie. I'll read a little bit. It's on page 80. So my classes with Dr. Byrne were over. How do I say it?
Burn.
My classes with Dr. Byrne were over, with never an acknowledgement between us about him having once used my towel after a shower, the smell of his Old Spice on it the next time I used it. James Devlin was still my number one person. James Carey didn't have a hope of a first name, so it was Carey from the start. I met him outside the Brog after kickout time when people usually hung around smoking and eating chips on the pavement. He was smaller than me, so I ruled him out of romance straight away. I don't mind shorter guys, but they seem to mind me. They always piss about with me, do the whole one of the boys routine, and say things like, wouldn't want Rachel on the wrong side of me in a fight. And I was like, that's so funny.
It
Because
is.
shorter guys, like, they don't feel like objectifying. Like, most of them don't feel masculine
They are not
when
comfortable in
they're
their
smaller
bodies.
than their woman. And I feel like that's very just, like, caveman brain.
Yeah, no, definitely.
But I found that really interesting because honestly, I kind of forgot Carrie was smaller than her.
I did too.
Because she's just, you know, she's almost 6 feet tall. And so, of course, most men are. But I really forgot. Like, I kind of just pictured just like an average person, average guy. Like, I didn't really have a clear, you know, because, like, what color is her hair? I know it's long.
It's not blonde.
Yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah. So, what did you think about it?
About the meeting?
Yeah. And just, like, just the whole thing.
I thought it was... I didn't think they had a shot long term.
Yeah.
Because of how just, like, lustful the whole first interaction was. Like, it was very, like...
Well, because she
Let's
has
go
her
have
best
sex.
friend, James, and she talked about how she wanted that. She wanted that passion, lust just all over someone, and that experience. And so, like, he was that.
Yeah, but it was so quick and so fast, and she also wanted, like, the romance and the long-term love. And I was like, I don't think Carrie's gonna give that to you, considering, you know, they fucked so quickly.
They did.
But I kind of got a good vibe when it said, like, Carrie was Northern Irish, and if there's one thing you can say about those men is that they know when to shut the fuck up. I love that. I love a man that knows when to shut the fuck up. Like,
It's so true.
come on.
It's so true.
And she mentions that a couple more times throughout their relationship.
Yeah, because he shuts the fuck up.
like, she says something that's like a damn good point, and he's just like,
all right. It's
Yeah.
like, you ghosted me for 3 months. He's
Yeah. Like, he knows he did that. He knows he fucked up. So he's gonna stay quiet for a second.
Yes. Okay, and so we were talking about, like, guys giving girls head in the book. How Jonathan, like, just didn't really know what he was doing. And so then on page 82, this whole paragraph just reminded me of, like, a Carrie Bradshaw column. And do you want to read it? It starts with it was.
All right, I got this.
All right.
It was, as you know, not the first time a man had gone down on me, but this was not lying on my bed while a boy fidgeted about, my breasts getting cold as my mind became full of errands. For years straight, women talked about men never eating them out, and now that they do it all the time, none of us want to admit that most of them are bad at it. They sucker onto your clitoris like a fish at the side of a tank, or they randomly poke about with their tongue. With Carrie, I felt like a shrine. He was going at this not like a person with a plan, but a person with a calling. God, can Carrie be a real person, please?
Yes! Yes!
Like, I couldn't handle the ghosting, but I could handle the head.
Yeah! That's so funny! Oh my god!
Like, having a man make you feel like a shrine? Are you kidding me?
Crazy!
Are you kidding me?
Especially after Jonathan.
Jonathan. You know, every time I hear that name, it just reminds me of Stranger Things.
Which one? I don't remember. I just remember faces. Not
Jonathan
names.
from Stranger Things.
The one with the lifeguard? The lifeguard?
No. That was Billy.
The one who liked the girl, the older sister?
Nancy.
The one who liked Nancy.
The really awkward guy.
Yeah!
That's what he reminds me.
Oh my god.
Which is not good. Not cute. Not confident.
Yeah, that's just gross.
And she is no Nancy.
No.
She is all about it.
I love her. But this part had some points against Carrie. It was started exactly on chapter 12, page 84. And I'll read it because this part grossed me the fuck out. She goes, "The thing about me and Carrie is that we were both dirty. By which I mean we were both perverted and we were both unclean. I bled on his sheets and the stain remained for the duration of our relationship. He met me from the bus once wearing sweatpants, a string vest, and swigging from a pint bottle of full fat milk. He smelled like sweat and like someone who had been digging outside, though he had no garden. I loved it all. When we had sex, I could taste the day on him. I walked around with my nose in my collar afterwards, catching pockets of his smell on myself."
No, I was so grossed out. I was sitting in my bed reading that, and I was like, no, I need someone who showers.
No, like, what happened to, like, the scent of, like, wood? And, like, you know, like, the romantasy novels when they're, like, always
No,
smells
actually,
like
I don't really mind the smell of, like, sweat. Like,
or, like, a hard day's work,
Yes.
sure, but, like, shower.
Are you kidding me? Wearing sweatpants, a string vest, and swigging with a pint of
Full.
fat milk? Girl.
That is unclean.
And she said, I loved it all. No, you didn't.
No. And that, watch the Amy Winehouse movie. Because they were both just that, like, dirty love. Mm-hmm. And, like, he reminded me a lot of that part of him in the story when he just, like, doesn't give a fuck, you know? So that's all I picture when reading this. I'm like, that is disgusting. But, like, you must be so in love for you to love it.
No, for real. Ugh. God. No, I will say that of all the characters, Carrie had the best character development.
He did. I was surprised. But honestly,
He did.
I wish I was... I mean, no, we were there for most of it. Because it wasn't like, bam, I'm amazing. Like, we saw some of that work, like, progressively in the...
Yes,
But-
like how, like, between after, like, when he ghosted her and then she found him at the bread stall.
Yeah.
And she was like, what? And he explained it to her. He was like, yeah, like I realized like when I was with you, I was not my best self. I was slacking on all these things, my job, my cleanliness, just
Yeah.
everything. I was calling out all the time. I was sleeping all the time. Like it was just sector
And she's like,
sleep.
well, you could have let me know. And he's like, if I called you, I would be in bed with you, baby.
Yeah.
And it's
no.
like, okay, that feels like an excuse, but okay.
No, honestly, I love that he realized that about himself, and I love that
He put that
told her,
boundary, yeah.
and he put that boundary. I just think he went about it the wrong way.
Yes.
Like, he definitely should have, not ghosted her. Especially
Yeah.
her
On
birthday. Are you kidding me? No, that's the worst time, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Would you have waited? He's like, go get
No.
yourself a coffee and some bread. And I'll close in an hour.
No, I would not have waited.
Me neither.
I would have been like, I probably would have taken his money, gotten myself a coffee, and left.
He was like, I'll take the coffee and bread. See you this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
Maybe. I'll be here.
Shower first.
Shower. I mean, he smells like bread now, which is fine. But gross.
Yeah, that's okay, but full fat milk is...
Okay. Okay. This part was so funny. This reminds me of like that best friend talk when you guys are just like talking. It's 3 a.m. and you guys are just saying what's real. And James really put it that way on page 86. I think she's just like all over Carrie. James says, the thing about Carrie, James said once when we were up late and commiserating over our hopeless men, is that he would walk over hot coals for you, but he won't commit to lunch plans.
I hate that.
I hate that too. That feels like such, was it an oxymoron?
Yeah.
Like, ah.
It's so sad. But, like, also, I can't decide which is worse, that or the other way around. Like, someone that would commit to lunch plans, but they wouldn't walk over hot coals for you.
I feel like that's worse.
I don't know.
I don't know. That is hard.
It is hard. Like, I want somebody that's so deeply, madly in love with me that would, like, do the worst for me.
I don't want either. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
Fuck them all.
I'd rather be single, really.
Yes.
But, like, if I had to pick, I don't know.
I think I do the... what good is hot coals if you can't be there when it's needed?
Yeah.
Which could be lunch. Who knows?
Like, I want you there when I, like, need you, not when I, like, need you.
Yeah. Yeah, because
Yeah.
love is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
And he couldn't do that.
Love is patient.
Yeah. But, I did cringe out, though, when Rachel was sending him text after text, trying to, like...
Get him to respond to
Yes!
her. I was like, girl, stop. You are embarrassing yourself.
She says, I simply cannot abide the smell of Subway sandwiches. Next text. I've smelled fresh bread, and frankly, that's not what bread smells like. Next text. Sandwich artist. Get a grip. I wouldn't respond to that either.
Yeah, no. I love the comparison she made. She said, when he didn't respond, I sent a barrage of funny messages that were supposed to read as Nancy Mitford, but instead made me sound depressed, cranky, and 80 years old. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they did. It sounds like a Yelp review.
It does.
Calm down, girlfriend.
Stop.
Please.
Get off your phone.
For real?
Okay. So, this is the part you were talking about. It's on page 104 when he finally is working at that bread store and he finally like comes clean about, what, he's been doing. Should I read it?
Yeah.
All right. Fucking hell, I blurted out. Is that it? It's true. And I make you insane. He picked up his phone. He still had a Nokia, not the 3210, but not much more advanced than that either. I have the tapes. I tried to swallow my shame about the voicemails and to stay angry. Oh, for fuck's sake, Carrie. Pet, listen to me. I'm 27. So, 27 is very old to be dozing off work to stay in bed with a teenager. I'm 21, Carrie, I spluttered, which you would have known if you came to my birthday party. He let that one hang there. Northern Irishmen. They know when to shut the fuck up.
Period.
I'm sorry I didn't wish you a happy birthday, he said carefully. But I don't know. Things got very serious between us. No, they didn't, I practically shouted. We literally weren't even calling one another boyfriend and girlfriend. For some reason, everything out of my mouth made me sound like a disgruntled 4-year-old. Seriously unserious, I think is what I mean, he clarified. I narrowed my eyes at him. Listen, Rage, I'm a dozer. I born a dozer. I don't know what dozer mean. I've been dozing around all my life. I'm dosed in Derry, I'm dosed in Belfast. And when I moved down to Cork, I thought, okay, real job, real life, real flat. You've got it together, James. I looked around as if James had just appeared, and then I remembered that I was the only one who called him Carrie. Then I met you, and Jesus Christ, girl, if I didn't piss it all up the wall immediately.
No, I love this whole interaction. Like, I'm so glad she did stay. I would not have stayed, but I do love this whole interaction.
Yes!
I think it was so great. It was very knowledge-filled. It made you understand everything that happened way more.
Yes!
Like, he was not in control of himself because of her. Like, but, like, it wasn't her fault. It was his fault for his reaction to her.
Yeah, and, like, he's 27.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Pride and Prejudice. 27 years old is he? I've got no man, no prospects, no money. Don't judge me.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I thought it was cute.
I know.
But, like, he should have called her. Mm-hmm. Anyway. So it ends. Oh my God, she kisses him after this. Because she stays at the bread shop.
Yeah.
Did we like that?
Well, that's how they started back together again. I was disappointed when I read that. But I don't know. I think it's so interesting that they were like on and off, on and off, and then on again.
Well, I think at first it was his fault and then it was her fault.
Yes. It was definitely his fault the first time. The second time it was definitely her fault. And then I'm kind of glad that they ended up together.
Yeah, but I feel like it gives them a bad rep. Like, if you hear, like, oh, we were on and off again, you, like, picture something else. But, like, would you say it was toxic?
I would say yes, because they made each other worse. Like, you're supposed to build each other up in a relationship. And the first time around, you know, like, she didn't purposely bring him down, but he was brought down.
Yeah, and so was she.
He kind of did it to himself, but, like, he was brought down. And then the second time around, he didn't necessarily bring her down, but, like, he got her pregnant.
Yeah.
And she, like, spiraled.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I would have too. I don't blame her.
Yeah.
But she spiraled.
She
completely.
did.
So they both had a lot of growing up to do, and they did it at different times. Which, like, you know, men mature later than women.
Oh my God, that's so good that you said that, because it ends. Chapter 12 ends with, he sounded hopeful and sad like Peter Pan. I kissed him on the forehead and tried to hide my disappointment. Then I'll be grown up too.
Yeah.
Aww.
No, literally, because he grew up, I'd say, the most between the first breakup and the second.
And then
she grew up the most between the second and the third.
Yes.
Like,
exactly.
I mean, there was definitely both improvement between the first and the second as well for her.
It's because of him. I don't think she changed.
In the second one? Like,
Yeah,
in the second time
second
together?
one, I don't think she changed that much. I think he changed, and that's what made it great. Or better.
Yeah.
But then the third time around, she finally grew up, and she, like, you know, learned how to communicate.
Yeah. No, definitely. I'd say that too. Like, you don't get pregnant and just not tell them and make all the decisions by yourself. Like, whether you're pro-life or not, like, you tell them.
Yeah, I agree.
It's like that one movie, I don't remember what it's called, with Adam Driver. And she's like, yeah, like, there's some things I can't do because I got an abortion yesterday.
I don't remember that movie.
And he was like, was it mine? She goes, of course it was yours. And she was like, I haven't told people in the past, but I'm trying to be more open with you. And he was like, but Like, she just didn't tell her previous boyfriends when they had gotten her pregnant and she got abortions. Like, that is something you share.
Yeah.
You don't just keep that
like,
all bottled up into
I don't think it
yourself.
should, like, not to get political, I don't think it should, like, affect your choice at all. Like, you have all the choice to make.
No, but
they should know.
That is a huge deal.
Yeah.
Like, it is not just some, like, oh, yeah, like, I tripped on my way to work. No.
Yeah.
Like, that is a huge deal, and that is something you
and
just share with your most significant other.
They want to know what's happening with you. They care about you.
And
they
getting
want to be
pregnant,
able to support you.
Whether you're getting an abortion, whether you're putting up for adoption, whether you're having the baby, just... It affects you so much.
You need
cannot
that support
keep that
to lean
yourself.
on. Yeah. And okay, so it starts immediately with chapter 13 of kind of that today's age reflect on their relationship before. And I want to read it and see if we agree.
Okay.
So there's plenty of language now for what Carrie did to me in April of 2010. Women I'm friends with would describe it as ghosting, psychological manipulation, as gaslighting even. The only credit they would give him would be the fact that he rightly assessed his situation, that he was too old for me, that the relationship was doomed, that he was too childish, and that he needed to grow up and get an age-appropriate girlfriend. He did need to take life seriously, and if that involved keeping a wide berth of me, then so be it. But none of this rationale changes the hard facts of the case. We were mad about each other. In the name of this madness, we really tried, and for a time succeeded to be grown-ups together.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so interesting.
I don't really understand why it says women I'm friends with would describe it as ghosting, as psychological manipulation, as gaslighting even, because Carrie didn't do that to her the second time around.
I think they're just saying for this specific incident, the whole birthday, just ghosting.
Yes. That, yes.
Yes. And then for him to say that he would have just gone to bed with her if he would have called, that is a bit manipulative.
Yeah.
Psychological
He was, like,
manipulation.
trying to, like, compliment her.
Yeah.
And, like, say that it was, like, you know, like... He just was too great, and he was just not worthy of her.
I think it would have been better just say that, like, he was scared. Like, to acknowledge that he messed up, he wasn't mature, and he was just scared of what was going on. That's what he should have said instead of saying, if I would have called you, I would have gone to bed with you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's also a little insulting. Like, what, am I only good for bed? Like, come on.
Yeah, that's true. But all this did remind me of Amy Winehouse about how, like, crazy they were about each other. Because that's pretty much what led to her doom, is that, like, how much love she had for this man. And he was just not a great influence. And I don't think he was a great influence. He was smelly. Like, in this book, he was smelly. 27. 27!
That's so gross.
I know.
Yucky.
Okay. So then we go to James and his love story. And I'm on page 121. Was when Carrie finally was like, okay, I need to be a grown-up. Like, I'm going to go start studying at the library, apply for jobs. And he called her about that, like, stupid whale fact. And it just, like, made them laugh. And she's talking to her bestie, James, about what's going on. And he just, like, meets her right where she feels. And it just, like, warms my heart. She goes, but the fear always came back. I had long, paranoid nights of wondering whether he had died. There were days when I didn't hear from him, but I was learning that this was part of love, or of loving him anyway. If he was anyone else in the world, I said to James one night, after looking at my phone for the 50th time, I'd tell him to go fuck himself. But he isn't anyone else in the world, said James, warm sadness rising in his throat. I laced his fingers through mine. It had been weeks since he had seen Dr. Byrne.
That is really sad.
That is.
But also, like, it was good, because James was healing in this part.
Yeah.
He was healing from everything that was going on with Dr. Byrne.
Because he's going through it too, because he loves the professor.
No, he does. But he wasn't getting it in return. And that's
he
why
wasn't
he was
being
like,
respected. Yeah.
I'm going to stop seeing Dr. Byrne. And then he did.
He did.
Which is so good. I was so proud of him for doing that.
And started working on his TV show.
Yeah, he started focusing on himself.
Yes.
He was like, I'm tired of being poor.
Yes.
I'm going to get a good job and I'm going to finish the TV show.
Yes. But that was good for him to meet her where she was and understand that people are crazy for, crazy love. And that's why, everyone writes songs and poems and books about it. It's a feeling that, you do stupid things. And it's nice that, like, he meets her without judgment, because obviously anyone who's from the outside would be like, really? You're talking to this guy who did this to you?
And then chapter 15 is about
the pregnancy?
No. It was about the TV show and then James coming out to his mom.
Oh, yeah.
And then, let's see.
I know 16 was the gay naissance.
Yeah, I thought that was so funny. If you were gay or a bisexual man and you lived in Cork in August 2010, then trust me, my friends James fucked you.
I highlighted that part. I was like, that's so funny.
No, it is.
I feel like I should have a day naissance. Wonder what our year will be.
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, and then Dr. Byrne was really weird with James. He would like call him and tell him to like be careful and stuff about like being so outwardly gay and stuff.
Yes,
I was like, you have no right.
And then she's talking to someone. Who's she talking to? Carrie. This is when her and Carrie have a fight. And I think she says, like, oh, like, you can, like, buy me a drink. Like, oh, she says, I'll allow you to buy me a drink. Which was supposed to be funny, but only sounded petulant and spoiled. And then he started talking about her clothes. Do you remember that? It's on page 147.
Yep.
Do you want to read it?
So, he says, like, they meet in the club or whatever, and then she goes outside and waits for him. And he goes, Rach, he said, what are you doing out here? You'll freeze. It strikes me now that no one in Cork ever worried about each other's safety, just our body temperature. What do you care? I said dismally. I was extremely drunk, but I was never much of a shrieker. My version of being a bad drunk was suddenly becoming surly and immovable. You're breaking up with me anyway, aren't you? I could say the same to you, he said, genuine fury in his voice. What's all this about? You were the one who wanted to be all official. Now you're out here dressed like this, not telling me, not wanting to get pints with me during the week, going on about gentleman callers. Every so often, a feminist argument makes it into the public consciousness that even the most self-hating of young women will adopt. There was a lot of chat around then about slut-shaming, around men policing how women dressed, around what the term asking for it actually meant. Blah, 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 blah. What I had heard was a critique of my outfit. Fuck you, Carrie, I said, my voice low and serious. I can dress how I want. And then they just kept fighting. And I think, she had a point, like, whatever, about him commenting on how he dressed. But that was, like, he commented it on, like, the only thing that, like, wasn't wrong. Like,
yeah,
there was a lot going on with her that was wrong. And I think that was the only thing he really, like, knew how to say.
Yeah, no, he definitely had a bad communication take, but where he was coming from was right. Yeah. Where do you think, like, obviously she gets worse, but, like, from this point, how do you think she was failing him in the relationship?
She was extremely immature, really.
She hadn't grown up, yeah.
No, like, he did.
He put in the work.
He did. He put in the work, and he was working on communicating, and she was not. She was not communicating at all. Like, she was constantly, like, blowing him off and, like, saying, I'm trying to save money, I'm trying to save money, I'm trying to save money. And then she is going out and acting like she's single. Like, when they finally put a label on it, she acts like she's single.
How so?
Like, you don't just not tell your boyfriend you're going to the club. Like, it's not like you should have to ask for permission. I'm not saying that. But inform him. Especially if he's constantly trying to go out with you and you keep blowing him off when you are going to go out.
For the gain of song.
Maybe invite him. That's just an idea. Like, I think she went about that very wrong. And then he went about her going about it wrong. So, like...
Yeah, it was just two wrongs. They're not making it right.
No, it was a bad fight.
Yeah, she just, like, ignored all the other things he was saying in that sentence and just pinpointed the dressing point, which was wrong. So she picked that one wrong point and just attacked him for it.
Mm-hmm. And then, chapter 18, she gets fired.
Yes.
And then she goes over to Deanie's house, whatever. She starts to feel sick. Asks her to drive her home.
And they're still all about London, and then...
she finds out she's pregnant.
Yes. And what do we feel... Well, before that, like, she's been going to Deanie's house to do, like, internship work almost. And, like, what do you think about her, like, getting paid, like, $0, pretty much?
That made me so mad, and I wish she had said something sooner. But I was pretty glad that when she did say something towards the end.
Yeah.
And Deanie was like, what did I ever do to you, kind of thing. And she's like...
You paid me 50.
You didn't fucking pay me.
Yeah.
Like, she was going there multiple days a week, and I'm like, you got paid actually nothing.
Yeah. But also she did almost blackmail our professor to get that internship. Like, it's not like she was actively hiring someone. I like to play devil's advocate. I don't know.
I mean, it definitely wasn't, you know, like, if she was just any normal student, she wouldn't have gotten it. Mm-hmm. But, like, I also don't think she completely blackmailed him, because she did ask for, the extension on the essays, and then he was like, is there anything else?
Mm-hmm. She's like, I want a job.
And she's like, shit, the door's open. I'm walking through.
But, like, I don't know. Like, I think it's crazy that he is forcing his wife, who's done nothing wrong in their relationship, to fix his mistake because he's cheating on her.
No, it definitely wasn't right.
It wasn't right.
Rachel did take advantage of the situation, and honestly, I cannot be mad at her for that.
No. But also, like, the wife, like, if you can't, maybe, like, be more upfront. It's like, I can't really take someone on financially, but I can offer you this experience. But that's, like, all I can do. If you want to find an internship that pays well, go somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I feel like because she was getting paid, even though it was so minimal, Deanie sort of felt like she could not take advantage of Rachel, but just, like, completely utilize her.
Yeah.
Like, she was doing a salaried positions job.
Yeah.
For 50 quid a week.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
literally
nothing. They should have gone about that so much
for
better.
sure.
So, yeah, she's pregnant.
She is pregnant.
And she does not tell no one, besides James, of course. And that must feel horrible to Carrie afterwards, finding out that James, of course, knew. Like, no wonder that created such a divide in their relationship with her best friend. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, imagine, like, you're dating someone and they don't tell you, like, they're carrying your baby. Like, they're gonna have your baby, but they tell them, like, their bestie. It's like,
yeah.
Hello?
I mean, honestly, like, if I was dating somebody and I got pregnant, I'd probably tell you first, and then
tell someone else.
But then I would tell him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't just, like, tell you and then be like, okay, so you're coming with me to get an abortion, and we're just never gonna tell him. Like, that wouldn't happen.
That's crazy.
But whatever.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I thought this was funny. It's on just, like, page random, like, 195. She goes, I don't know how we got through that weekend, despite the fact that I decided to get an abortion. My inherited middle classness told me that I should not drink. I did not want to harm the baby that I was planning to kill.
No, that's so funny. Like, it's not funny at all.
It's so funny.
But it's so funny. Like, what? It makes sense. Like, you have this, like, motherly instinct, like, whether or not, like,
you want it.
Like, you have that instinct. it's an instinct for a reason, but, like, that's so funny. You're like, yeah, I'm gonna kill it, but, like, until then, I'm not gonna hurt it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Oh, gosh. That's so funny.
I thought, I kind of thought she did the right thing not telling Carrie right away because he was going through everything.
Through a lot, yeah.
Like with his mom and his dad. I was like, that is kind of considerate of her, but the fact that she just never, ever, ever told him until after it was all done, that's kind of terrible.
I know. And then Deanie calls her, be like, hey, like, I got this, like, event to come. Like, you should come.
Yes,
like,
the dinner.
The dinner. Oh! And then she shows up and just shit hits the fan.
I know, and everyone's like, everyone knows but her, basically.
Yeah, everyone's like, what are you doing here? She's like, I was invited?
Like, did Deanie, like, not, like, remember that she invited her? Or did she, like, not think she was going to show up? Because, what? Like, she wasn't actually sleeping with Dr. Byrne. So she didn't think there was anything wrong with showing up.
She told the professor to tell her not to show up. And he's like, I didn't think you invited her. I don't know what the hell happened.
No,
but
there
then
was
he had
some
to, like, pull a
miscommunication
chair for
there.
her, and she tried to, like, grab a water, and the one lady's like, that's my water. She's like, oh, okay, shit. And she's pregnant, too.
I know. She's like, I can't do anything right. But it was also, like, just after, like, she found out she was pregnant, and she was broke. So she definitely
and she can't get
used
an
the
abortion
situation.
because in Ireland it's illegal. So I bet, like, if like Ireland had already, like, passed that, like, legislation, it would have been easier for her. But she's got to, like, pay for flights and do all this.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when they have that whole conversation, and she calls her chubby when she had met her.
I know.
And I hated the professor to be such a coward in that moment. He didn't do anything. He was just like, yeah. Like, he looked at her like, don't tell her. Don't tell her what I actually did. But,
And
like,
I
ruin
would
your
have.
reputation for me.
Yeah, no, I would have.
I would have, too.
I would have in an instant. Although, like...
Your reputation's, like, everything.
It's literally everything. Like, I don't know. I think she did do a really good, job at being like, okay, fine. I want $2,000. I'm pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
I think she did a great job of utilizing the situation, but also she sacrificed her entire possible career in
Yes.
publishing for that $2,000 to get the
Yeah.
abortion.
Yeah. That was not worth it.
No.
And, like, he already has connections. He could get a job anywhere.
No, literally.
She can't.
The worst that would have happened was he gets divorced. He still
Yeah.
has a job.
Yeah. He's just gonna get a coma later. Like,
Doesn't fucking matter.
yeah.
Well, he actually wouldn't have gotten a coma if they got divorced.
Oh, true.
She was on
True. She could have saved his life.
Oh well.
Oh. Honestly,
Although
it
he
was
did
karma.
wake up, but his wife was with somebody else by then.
Yeah, after going through someone else before that.
I know. I really thought that it was, like, really stupid that James got mad at Rachel for the whole situation.
Yeah.
Like-
No, he got mad at James, too, for ridiculous things.
I know, but he said no. He started dialing, fuck off, Rachel. This has nothing to do with you. And she goes, unfortunately, it is.
Yeah.
Like, no, it literally has
Yeah.
everything to do with Rachel because her entire reputation
This is their
ruined.
fight number 2. Yeah.
Yes. And, like,
And he tried to
James
call him.
didn't really see it as that. He saw it more as, like, this was between him and Dr. Byrne, and Dr. Byrne was, like, trying to pretend that James doesn't exist. He doesn't love James and all these things. But that's not the point of what happened.
Yeah, well, I think because their whole relationship was behind closed doors, it feels like it's only them.
Yeah.
But it's not.
No.
And I think she tried to say it, but it's so hard when you're just in that moment. And I think he did end up calling him, but the number was blocked. And he tried using her phone, the number was blocked. And that's so heartbreaking. To just, and they kept saying that he was a tourist in their life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's so true. And I think James finally, maybe that kind of gave him the courage to apply to New York and, like, get the hell out of there.
Yeah, because he no longer was, like, so infatuated with Dr. Byrne. So he's like, fuck it, let me go.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
But let's see.
And then Carrie finally comes down. from Northern Ireland and sees her, and she tells him that
She had the miscarriage.
yes,
Which was so sad.
that eventually broke them up, which is heartbreaking.
Yeah, but, like, I get it.
Yeah.
Because they just couldn't see each other's sides.
It's on page 232. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. This is stupid, he said, looking at his lap. You didn't tell me you were having my baby? I feel like we're in a soap. Well, I wasn't going to have it, was I? I spluttered. He looked more wounded than ever. You didn't even think about it? About having it? I couldn't re-enter that world, the imagined playground of living in Derry with him and mothering one of many strawberry blonde moppets. It was gone now. It wasn't a fantasy anymore, but a dead universe collapsed in on itself. No, I said, I'm too young, Gary. You know that. I know, he said, his face twisting. I just thought you would have at least considered it. You just booked an abortion straight away. It's my body, I said limply, my choice. Yes, I know it's your choice, but I should have had a consulting role, surely, in some sense. It doesn't matter what I wanted, does it, I snapped, because I lost it. I was always going to lose it, no matter what we talked or didn't talk about. And I was like, okay, I feel like that's a cop-out, because that could not have happened. Like, what was her plan?
Yeah. Ugh. It's so sad. And then he's all like,
He says,
but you and James for all that.
Yeah, he says, I'm trying to understand rage. I really am. I'm trying to get my head around it, but I feel like I don't know you at all. It's such a big thing to keep from someone you love. It's the biggest thing there is. And I could have helped. How, I asked. How could you have helped? With the money? With, I don't know, comforting you? He knew me well enough by that stage to know what I was thinking. But you had James for all that, he said. Well, I did. He rolled his eyes. You can't blame me for that, I said. He's my best friend. I know he's your best friend, he snapped. This isn't about James. It feels like it is, I said. I was hoping to get Carrie on a charge of homophobia, thus clearing me on the charge of being a selfish and stupid person. Don't you understand how condescending it is, he said, for someone you love not to tell you about the biggest thing happening in their life because they don't want to bother you, because they think you can't handle it? I just wanted to leave you out of it because I do love you. You know that I'm always saying it. That's not an act of love rage. It's an act of, I don't know, ambivalence. It's an act of distance. Your mom was sick. I don't care if my entire family was thrown into a volcano, Rachel. I want to fucking know if I'm having a child with someone.
Literally facts. No, he was completely in the right in this whole fight.
He was.
Like, he was. There was nothing that Rachel did that was right.
I think
And she knew it.
And she was looking for the homophobic comment like she was with the feminist comment about like what you wear, to just attack him on that so she can like hide from what she was doing.
So she can make him feel guilty about something that really isn't true, just so that she can feel better about what she did. Which is so sad.
I feel like to have someone like hold your hand through like an abortion or like anything, you know, really hard on like your body or like mental health, be the person that caused it. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's such a monumental moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like crazy to think.
No, I agree.
Ugh. So then they break up.
And then
yeah. And then she's like just living these horrible jobs in Cork. And I'm like, why haven't you left? I mean, obviously because of money, she hasn't left already. But it felt like at some points I was like, are you guys still moving to London?
I guess they gave up on that with the whole Carrie thing when she got pregnant.
Oh, okay, they did.
Because like they were like saving money, and then she got pregnant, and they're like, no, all that money is going towards the abortion and everything.
Okay, so then they're back on London, and then James just says it's happening. He's going to New York
with Sabrina,
and she's like, "Oh, I hate that Sabrina. It's her last fight." They make it through because they love each other.
Yeah, of course they do. Like, they can't even be that mad at each other.
Yeah, I'm just like surprised how she found the money to move to London.
Yeah. Well, it says, like, I remember it as the night we decided to split the money and run. So they had, because it said they had like $4,000 or something in their account. So they split it down the middle. And then they just moved. He moved to New York and she moved to London.
Wow.
And that's how that happened.
And she made it...
She had a new roommate.
Who sucked. He was a pervert, but
So
still made her a
annoying.
sandwich.
Yeah, and that made her sad.
Yeah.
And then she was really lonely, and then she made some friends, finally.
Yeah. Cut her hair.
And then she re-met Carrie.
Yeah. It's years later.
And it's in London, like a different country, goddamn.
It's like, she's like, I thought you'd never go to London. You hated that.
And he's like, I don't know what's saying that. But that happened, and then they actually did the whole, like date thing. Like, they went on a date or whatever, and they got drinks, and they talked. And they did all that first.
I know, and then he says, when I finally stopped kissing him, I put my arms around his waist and laid my head on his shoulder. My nose dug deep to find the old smell, my hands in the rough denim of his jacket. I'd missed him so much, I hadn't even known it. Carrie, I said, Carrie, Carrie, Carrie. Darling, he replied, I think you're a bit old to call me by my last name. And so now everyone I love is called James.
I thought that was so sweet.
That was sweet.
Ugh. But she didn't name the kid James.
She didn't have the Jameses.
Oh, she should have. No, that was so funny. Oh, how he was like,
Oh, here it is. It's on page
a pack of
266.
Jameses, a murder of Jameses, a consortium of Jameses. I thought that was so funny.
And then she names him, we called him Shay in the end, short for Samus, which was James Carey's dad's name. And as soon as I told James Devlin, I received the following screen grab from Wikipedia. Samus, Irish pronunciation, is an Irish male given name of Latin origin. It is the Irish equivalent to the name James. The name James is English New Testament variant for the Hebrew New Jakes. All right, I texted back, you win. The Brotherhood of James welcomes yet another member. He replied.
I thought that was so great. Do you think that was actually real, or he just typed that into Wikipedia?
I think he just typed that in.
I think he did too.
I love it though.
No, me too. Either way, it's
I would have done the
hilarious.
same thing.
Oh,
And then she gets a email from Demis. I forget her name already.
Deanie.
Deemy?
Deanie.
Deanie. And I was
Byrne.
like, why are you emailing? Like, you already looked like a fool. Why should she even meet you for lunch or whatever?
No.
Waste of my time is what I'd say.
Yeah.
I know what I did.
Yeah. I think, okay, so in this situation, I would have told Deanie the first time that I did not sleep with her husband and that he was actually sleeping with James. I would have said
Yeah.
that. But if I, for some reason, did not, I would have met with her and told her the damn truth the second time around, because I just...
And she
there's this-
brought her child?
There's this part of me that everyone has to know the truth. The goddamn
Yeah.
truth. Like...
And
ugh.
I love how and it's literally the last line of the book. It's like, I got this guy's number. His name is James. Mm-hmm. He'll tell you what happened. And I was like, oh, that's
I know.
so good.
I read that and then I flipped the page and saw that it was over. I was like, oh!
I know.
And I reread it a couple times.
It was so good.
I know.
Okay, so after going through the book, I think I'm going to rate it a 6 out of 10. 5.5, 6. It was so good.
It was so good. We had so much to talk about. That was a really good book. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. It had a lot of good points and it was a lot of growth. And I think something that surprised me about the book was how young she was.
Yeah.
Like, she was our age.
I know, dealing with all that.
I know. And when I had read the back, I thought this book was going to be about, you know, like an older girl. I mean, it says like Ridgemore is a 20-year-old, but for some reason in my head, I was like, she's so much older than us.
Yeah.
And she's not. Which made it,
know.
I don't know, it hit a little closer to home. Like, she's going through the struggles of life just as we are. Her struggles
Yeah.
may be different.
Hey, we're all poor. I mean, we're all going through it.
For real.
No, I can't even imagine, like, actually getting pregnant and, like, having to deal with what she had to deal with. Like, building that savings account and just be like, oh, fuck. I can't move.
Yeah. No,
Like,
that
what
was
do you
really
do?
sad.
And I love the Irish twang of it all.
I
loved it. I read it
know.
all in the accent. I was like,
No, it was so good. That was so good. I love that. It was Irish. Like, I just kept adding that accent to the things they're saying. Especially things Carrie would say.
Yeah.
Like, call her pet or darling
Yes.
or girl. And I was just reading that in an Irish accent in my head. I'm like,
It was so good.
He's so much hotter in my head.
I know. It kind of, like, hurt me, though, like, rereading that he was shorter than her, smaller than her, and she was so large. Because it's hard. Like, in the cover, because I just kind of, like, pictured the style. She seems smaller in my head. She kind of reminds me, oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. She just did SNL on Saturday. She's like a singer, top hits. Gracie.
Oh, Gracie Abrams?
That's who I pictured as Rachel. That's who I pictured.
I do like that.
Yeah. So it was hard for me to like picture taller, larger, and him smaller.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But I really liked it. It was such a quick read. It didn't have the Christmas feel that I wanted, so we're going to do another one. But yeah, I really liked it.
It was a good book. It was definitely. I liked the way it ended too. I
Me
like that
too.
she ended up with Carrie, and I like that James is doing his thing in New York and it's a big shot
He's
and all
a
that
writer,
stuff.
and he moved on from the professor, and like there was such a huge plot point that I feel like we kind of skipped past, but like he went through a lot and he was so supportive all the way. Like I don't think there was ever a time when I was like, ugh, James.
No, I never actually didn't like James.
Yeah, I think every time he did something, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, for next week, you know what we're doing. We have the second book of Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, that we're going to be reading. And from our perspective, we had already read Fourth Wing, so that was our second read going through it. But this time we are reading Iron Flame for the first time. And I have heard not great things. And I've heard great things. And so I am so excited to really dive in. And you know, I'm going to be honest, and it's going to be honest. Catherine is going to be honest.
Yeah. Catherine's probably going to love it, though.
She's going to love it. Which I love it. I love being around people who love books and just talking about it. Like, I want to see where Violet's going to go. What I've heard, my critique, is that she's really whiny at the very beginning. Just like, man, you lied to me. Because, like, we talked about it before, like, I would have already been over it by now.
Yeah. No,
So,
for real.
I
It wasn't
think-
that big of a deal.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bit of a drag, but we're going to get through it. You better keep reading it too with us. And I think by the third quarter, it's going to pick up, and then we're going to be left with a cliffhanger. So I'm so excited to rant with you. It's going to be good. Okay, well, that's it. Keep reading.
See you next week.
Bye.